Well, it's 2026 and we are here again. For us who are here again, great. For those who are joining us for the first time, if someone got you a gift for Christmas, you decided you wanted to do some wine tasting, you just thought we were a bit of fun. Brilliant to see you. So before we kind of dive into the wine tasting, we'll just go through a couple of little things. I'm Jamie.
I'm Alex. It's lovely to
this
see
is
you.
the Online Wine Tasting Club. So
Welcome.
So we're going to go through 6 wines tonight. We get a little bit kind of back to school, but what we do have for anyone who's joining us for the first time, we have Slido, which is a little interactive thing where you can scan or pop in the code, and there you go. So you go to Slido, go to TOWTC.co.uk/taste, and then you can pop in your tasting notes and all that kind of good stuff, which allows you to kind of taste along. There's a quiz at the end and all that kind of fun stuff. So we've got that code coming up. There it is.
Yeah, we got it. We got it going along the bottom.
It's magic along
Happy
the bottom
days,
as well.
Yeah.
So what I would say is let's get wine one in the glass as we go back to school.
Back to school, you say?
I do.
That sounds quite kind of retro in a strange sort of way. You reckon a bit like, almost Grange Hill-like?
Potentially.
Yes, we couldn't resist a bit of a blast from the past. I think we last did this back to school topic a few years ago.
Back. So we thought,
let's dig out the
content.
old Grange Hill intro. But yeah, lovely to see everybody. Happy New Year. From Russell, and good evening from Helen, and a happy new year from Diane as well, and from Joanna, and there's a few. We've got people rejoining us. Welcome back. That's great to see.
And yes, anyone who is new, get involved in the chat. We've got a really good friendly bunch in there. They'll take good care of you. Probably better care than we'll take on you.
Probably.
So there we go. But anyway, so today we are doing back to school, kind of loosely. We've got 6 wines, loosely based on 6 subjects. So today, as much as it's about the wine and enjoying the wine, it's kind of how wine is being affected in the world, and there's lots of changes, lots of things happening, and what wineries, winemakers, importers, consumers, and anyone involved in this can be involved in some bits about how wine's made, what things going on. So lots of cool fun stuff. So we're going to start, and hopefully everyone's got wine number 1 in their glass, and we can go into Slido, and we can try to.
It's being a little bit unhelpful, as a few people have pointed out. So I'll try to sort that one out. There we go. Right, there's wine 1 up and ready for us to enter our tasting notes for this wine number 1. So where are we starting, Mr. Smith?
So we are heading, and this is our kind of our chemistry-esque kind of part of it. And we are heading to the south of France to do some rosé. And the part of here is skin contact. And this is where we have a rosé wine. So, you would think, when I first got into wine, I thought a rosé wine was you take some red wine, you take some white wine, you mix it together, and you get some pink wine.
I'd go even a step beyond that, because I thought that if there were white grapes and there were red grapes, there must be pink grapes, and they kind of are, aren't there? Things like Pinot Grigio and the Pinot Gris, and there are sort of pinkish grapes. So I thought maybe the rosé comes from those sort of things, or maybe it's blend. And if you're talking about champagne, it is absolutely a blend. Or if you're talking about Pinot Grigio blush, it's a wine with a little bit of the pink coloration from that kind of slightly pinky grape.
But generally, you get your rosé from the skin contact. So 90, and I will always say 99%, because if I say all red grapes have white flesh, there's going to be someone who shouts Alicante Boucher at me in the chat.
Yep, absolutely.
And that's what it is. So the vast majority of red grapes have white flesh. So if you squeeze it very, very gently, you can get white wine. So you can get a white Malbec, you can get a white Merlot, you can get those kind of things. White Pinot Noir is used to make a lot of champagnes in your Blanc de Noirs and things like that.
Yeah, into the red Pinot Noir grapes, the standard grapes you can use to make a red Pinot Noir from Burgundy. But you can also make a rosé or a white wine. So
this particular wine is from Pasquiers in the south of France. It's an IGP Paddock, so that means they can take grapes from all over the south of France, really, and to make a style. I'm down there. We look, Provence is a big name, Bandol is a big name, but sometimes when you go to these areas, you pay a premium because it's from there or it's got a brand name behind it.
Yeah.
But this is made with the same grapes that you find in a lot of those areas. So this is mainly Grenache, and then it's got some Cinsault in there as well.
And I don't know why the Languedoc gets a bad name. It is a stunning, absolutely stunning region of France. It has so much history. It has, the whole history of the Cathars and everything. It has beautiful cities like Carcassonne, mountain, hilltop towns with it was used as the set for Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, the classic film with Bryan Adams, everything you do, I do it for you kind of thing, with a lot of gravel in his voice.
Sung it much better.
He sung it wasn't really trying, but no, on this occasion, thank God. But it is a historic, beautiful region, and it has so many brilliant wines. And you've got brilliant wines that are red, brilliant wines that are sparkling, brilliant wines that are from grapes you might associate with way further north in the country. So I think it's particularly important. I think they made a bit too much. I think that was the problem with the Languedoc. They made a bit too much, and they started trying to focus on making it cheaply because it's such a brilliant place for making wine.
It's a little bit warmer. It's easier to ripen things. And also a lot of that region doesn't sit with the same, and for better or worse, the same AOP rules that a lot of the rest of France has. So they can kind of grow what they want, where they want, and make the best of it. Not that I'm tied to, I must grow this from here and it's this particular vineyard and this particular site. You go, well, that's done really well this year, so we'll put a bit more of that in our blend, and that's done really well, so we'll make this happen. And that's not been quite so great, so we can use that into something else that can become a little house table wine.
And I think this absolutely nails it. What they've been associated with was those easy to drink, pleasant wines, and what's wrong with that? But while we've got this one in the glass here, so that we can talk about the colours and where they come from and all that, and we will get onto that very briefly. We'll go through it. And it's wine one. We're not going to go into too much detail, but there are a lot of smaller sub-regions of the Languedoc where you will find incredibly high quality wines being produced. I mean, I think some of the ones around Bergerac, you're minutes away from Bordeaux. You're really so close to these things, and you get brilliant dessert wines from from that sort of region. And you can go inland, and you've got Limoux, where you'll find
some of the best sparkling on the planet.
Yeah, not just best value. They are great value. They're great on their own. They're great on their own. So they make fantastic wines. So don't be closed-minded to the Languedoc, but also do be aware that there are some wines which are made without any care, and I think they get thrown into the sort of that kind of bargain based.
There is, but because it's very, very easy to grow grapes down there to an acceptable standard. There's overflow. There's gluts of wine there, and it gets put into an own label, bottom shelf, loads of it. Get on with it, house wine-esque kind of thing.
Shall we have a look at the tasting notes?
We shall indeed.
We shall indeed. Okay, I can't remember how to use this damn thing. What's going on? There we are. It's been too long.
Going to New Year. He's forgotten how to click the button. Sorry about that, everybody.
Although, as is tradition with all software products these days, the buttons have changed since I last used it. So we have strawberry, raspberry, acidity, fresh, dryness, a badger. Obviously,
is okay? Right. Please identify yourself in the chat. Who put in the first badger of 2026?
The 2026
inaugural badger.
Where did the badgers come from?
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Okay, we need to get back because there's going to be new people on this. They've been here 30 seconds.
Can I highlight my one of the most interesting ones? One of the most interesting little comments I see there. Balsamic vinegar. Now, I really get that. I've heard that tasting note a few times, and I don't always get it, but for me, it's there. It's not just that kind of acidity.
Yeah, it's that lovely kind of tanginess, and I find that in a lot more. And it's a lot of times when I'm doing tasting notes, I go, it's got this kind of like vinegariness about it, and I mean that in a really positive way.
Yeah,
because you go to Modena, Lambrusco, that kind of that has loads of that, and you go, oh god, this lovely vinegariness about it. But you know, wine vinegar, that doesn't sound great. So it's kind of you've got to extend your tasting note a little bit.
We have a person who popped up their hand for who was the person who'd been the first badger of the year. Thank you, Ian. Excellent. We love a badger. The wife's giving an eye roll. Sorry about that. But we shall move swiftly on away from the topic of badgers.
So let's talk a little bit about skin contact, because I think
because this is a physics lesson, isn't it, or chemistry or something? We've got to remember what we said.
Science.
We'll
do science because we've got biology with the grapes.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
So I think when we look at a rosé comes in all different colours and all different levels of sweetness. A lot of people will associate a darker Riesling, and this is the myth I want to dispel.
Yeah.
A darker
Can I
Riesling.
grab the book just for a second?
That you
I
wrote.
can't remember what I wrote. Yeah.
A darker Riesling. I'm there already. A darker rosé with a sweeter rosé, because I think
because of things like
white Zinfandel, and that's what there is.
Absolutely.
But you can have some absolutely bone dry rosé. You get rosados from Rioja, which are absolutely bone dry, but really dark.
Deep colours.
Bandol, really dark, but still very very dry. And then you can have some lighter ones that can be quite sweet. So it comes down to multiple things. It comes down to the grape and thickness of skin.
Yeah.
And time.
Yeah.
Would you say those are the main?
Those are the main ones. I think I'd completely forgotten how much I'd geeked out in the little booklet here, but this is quite fun because we had a good discussion with a winemaker from South Africa, and he was talking about the Syrah berries as well. And Syrah is obviously commonly used in the these South French rosés, but the Syrah berries are really small, and so they have a lot of skin per amount of liquid, the amount of juice. So that's that. So the first thing to say is the skin has all of the colorings in, apart from those things, just like you said. So if there's more skin and less berry, then there's going to be more color in the juice.
More color more quickly.
Yeah, more quickly. Yes, very fair.
So you can get color with less time. So you don't have to have as much tannin.
So this leads on to this whole process that we call extraction. And extraction is something we're going to do a bit of a deep dive into. We're going to do a skin contract extraction kind of episode this year, where we're talking about how do you get those things out. And it's like dunking a tea bag into your tea. It's the more you work it, the more you rub it around and stir it around, the more of the tannins and the color you're going to get. It's going to be a deeper colored cup of tea. It's going to be a more tannic cup of tea. So the same happens with that. And it's like, William can't add the slider. Oh, okay. Not quite sure. Do maybe try with a different device. Sorry about this. I hope you can win the quiz. I do hope. We've got a lot of time between now and then. Is anybody else able to end? Well, we can see some tasting notes. So maybe try with a different device. Grab someone else's phone or an iPad or something, and hopefully that will work. But yeah, so it's all about how do we get those kind of flavors and colors and tannins, the things you only find in the skins, into the wine, and how much of it do we want? And that really depends on what do you want to make.
Yeah, what the winemaker wants, what the style is, and what you're going after.
And what your raw ingredients give you. Because, if your raw ingredient is tannat, a really, really dark coloured tannin-rich wine from the south of France, you don't need to do very much to it to get a lot of colour and tannin into the wine. Whereas if you're with something subtle like Pinot Noir, obviously you might need to work it a bit more.
I think a classic one is white Zinfandel. There is no way you're making white Zinfandel white.
No,
because the grape is so thick-skinned and so dark in colour, and the colour leaches. And that's why, white Zinfandel is almost like, if you're first getting this wine, it can be kind of confusing. There's nothing white about white Zinfandel.
No,
not
exactly.
As red as the
not quite as red as the others. Yeah. But this is an enjoyable wine. I think it's really nice.
I think it's a nice, fresh, easygoing start to 2026,
and it just gives us that scope to say this is where we're going. This is the jumping ground from where we then go on to start to talk about why do we all want a light-coloured rosé? What is it about this light-coloured rosé? I mean, what? And
Instagram said so.
Instagram said it's what fashionable people drink, and
Absolutely.
you know, there's so much more out there. And then we can start getting into, all right, let's compare two wines made from similar kinds of grapes. One maybe has been punched hard, and I think I mentioned the different techniques you've got. You've got the sort of the how hard you press it, and you know, you can really squeeze these grapes quite hard to get some stuff out of skins, or you can just press them very lightly and just or we could just let the juice drain out of what you've made. It's crazy how
there's a lot of options.
There's a lot of options.
Not all rosés are created equal, and sometimes rosé seems to get left behind. You know, people talk about great red wines, great white wines, great fortified wines, great dessert wines, and then rosé.
Yeah, there's rosé, which is like pink
and it should be drunk for 2 months in the summer, and that's it. And I really don't think that's fair on the category. I think if you're making a red wine, it's easier to mask faults and problems with a red wine than it is with a rosé.
So what would you have with this one? What this kind of classic Languedoc rosé style of wine?
All by itself. Sit on the patio, drink this with snacks.
Bit of sunshine coming down, happy days.
So,
but you can also have it even when it's in the middle of winter.
Just sit with it. Sit this outside with your Marks and Spencer's picky bits. You don't need anything prepared. Just snack and go. The world's a good place.
Other supermarkets are available.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, well, let's have one last little look at the tasting notes here. And mouth-watering, fresh, pink grapefruit. Red berries. It is youthful wine, definitely. But I think there is a saline element to it. We're always going to get to arguments about where that comes from, and there are various different answers to that. It doesn't really matter. The fact is, it tastes quite nice and salty.
From here,
happy days.
It's probably off the grape because it's coastal.
Oh well, I mean, I don't know how exactly how coastal, because the thing is, the Pays d'Oc reaches a long way inland and is coastal, so it could be one from the other. I mean, you go all the way down to sort of like, you know, your sort of I don't know, Narbonne and places like that. But yeah, it's a big region of France, and it covers a lot. So it could have salt that's coming from the salty sea, like Jamie says, which is generally a big word that comes in, or it could be coming from some of the stones, which then generate there's a particular acid, salicylic or something like that. I don't know, something like that. But there are various different ways that flavour can get into your wine, and one is just salt on the grapes, and that's the simplest, and that's probably the easiest to remember. Let's go to wine number two.
Wine number two.
Let's go. Yeah.
So we are staying in France. We are heading north.
That's not the wine I thought we were having next. Excellent. Good stuff. I've got them in the wrong order.
Fair.
Oh, we're going north. We're going to the Muscadet. So I'd be fascinated to know how many people who have joined us tonight had one of our advent calendars, because I will tell you a completely personal story, but I had not drunk Muscadet for years. It was a grape that I was, obviously aware of. I think it's a fabulous name. Like, it's one of those words which just is evocative of times gone by in the past, like Muscadet, syllabub. These kind of strange things from the past, and they're wonderful.
I remember. So I remember Muscadet when I was like first in the restaurant industry when I was much younger, and like the things were like, you had your dry white, your medium dry, and then the brands were a Peace Porter, or a bottle of hock, or a Muscadet. That was kind of the thing, and then that slowly moved on, and suddenly like Chablis became the new cool thing. Yeah. And then we got into the new world things that people were going to have a Pinot Grigio. So Pinot Grigio became the thing.
Or a Shiraz.
So we did Pinot Grigio, and then, suddenly Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc became the thing.
Yeah, sort of late 90s, early 2000s.
I just remember when, Muscadet that was it. No one, and, the greatest Melon de Bourgogne, but, Muscadet was Muscadet. And that's what it was. And I think
it sort of vanished from the kind of like you couldn't find it in restaurants and things, and it is coming back. It's definitely making a re-entry. And I went into Waitrose a few weeks ago, and there it was. It wasn't just on their shelves. It was in the chiller. If they put something in the chiller, it's because they want to highlight it, because it is coming back. And so, Muscadet, the great Melon de Bourgogne. But smell it. it's got that like slightly Loire Chenin like kind of texture to it on the nose.
It is, and it's a little bit of Los Loire, because we talk Loire now, and things that are popular in the Loire, you know, you Sancerre, Puy-Fumé, Vouvray, and then people talk a lot about, you know, the little up and coming regions, either in the central area or over to these things like Tourret, Menthue-Salon, Cancy, those kind of things. And then you've got to come all the way back to the Atlantic Ocean to find Muscadet at Nantes. And, you know, as far as food pairing, it is probably the best oyster wine in the world.
Yeah.
You know, closely run by Hunter Valley Semillon and maybe Champagne. But I think this is probably the best oyster wine on the planet.
That's strong words, because, like, you know, I love some of the English Chardonnay makers are so convinced that, you know, they're the top wine to go with that. And, like, some of the Chablis makers as well. But I absolutely get it. It is so good. Like, why did we ignore this wine for so long? And also, I think the Surely is that key component. So presumably there's some arbitrary element. Why are we talking about this wine? I can't even remember.
Oh my word! Who let you?
Who let me in?
Oh. Sorry, he ran away to Austria and he's forgotten how to do anything.
Yeah, I was.
So Surely,
Surely
is the technique of it. It's sitting on the lees, on the dead yeast afterwards. But this one, you know, we're talking about, you know, this is an organic and biodynamic vineyard, and how this is.
Oh yes, that's right.
Oh, look, he's back in.
He's
back in the game. So, you know, these guys are organic, biodynamic. They're looking at regenerative farming, and this particular wine, the Pour l'Histoire, you know, with my poor French pronunciation,
poor history as well. Yeah.
This whole wine is based on a nod to the past, present, and future generations. Vines here, 45 years old plus. And the whole idea that without looking after the land, without looking after the vines, without giving back, there's not going to be anything left.
No, it's true. And that would be a shame. That would be a shame. Let's have a look at the tasting notes. We've got primarily the sort of the primary fruit things like the pear and apple. Obviously, there are some other sort of fruits like lemon and lime, and but then we're getting into apple as well. Melon juice, which is kind of cool. That's kind of cool. But now we've got the brioche
that
notes,
toastiness, which is
the lees. Yeah.
So not all Muscadet is done sur lie. Some of it is not, and then that's really kind of crisp, eye-wateringly acidic, beautifully fresh.
Yeah.
This still great acidity, great balance, great
zingy,
freshness. But it just has this little bit of texture, this little bit of roundness.
Yeah. We've got oiliness, honey, herbaceous characters, bubble gum, all sorts of things going on. That's great. This is, do keep these notes coming in. These are fantastic. And sorry, Helen just said that she really enjoyed the wines in the Advent calendar, and the Muscadet. And we hadn't done Muscadet at all. I don't think over the 5 years that we've been doing the tasting. So yeah, it was great for me. And
well, I think that's the thing. You know, sometimes you hit Loire Valley, and
yeah,
there's so many great places in the Loire now making every style of wine under the sun: white, reds, rosés, sparklings, dessert. But just, you know, you could do a tasting just on that western part of Loire.
You could indeed, yeah. This is
once
delicious.
We've got, you know, for what I class as relatively easy drinking white wine, there's a lot of tasting.
Now this is definitely a lot more foodie than the previous one. I think it's a really good foodie wine.
Yeah, oysters, seafood,
or a gymkhana curry.
No. You know, hard cheeses, you know, that kind of like, you know, the cheddar that's got like the salt lines running through it.
Yeah, for sure.
That kind of stuff is absolutely brilliant.
We have a question to what happened to Philippe at the bottom of the vine.
So, when I wrote the tasting notes, we were on one vintage, and then we moved to another vintage. So basically, every year they have an image on the label, and last year's, as we went through a transition, was young Philippe was the 4-year-old from the winery, and he fell asleep at the bottom of the tree. And the vintage that I first tasted before we moved over, the label had a picture of him lying at the bottom of the apple tree.
Okay.
So we now got a new label. The wine is still brilliant, but I tasted, I ordered, and then we came to this.
Fair
So
enough. So
I
changed the label.
I was ahead of the game with my tasting notes. Well,
Brilliant.
my stories.
Your stories, yes, yeah.
So yeah, and then this came in, so I changed the image. So each year.
Oh, shall we? Shall I put on the extra camera? Let's put on the extra camera, and here we go. Our faces in high res are coming in, and how do I do this? There. So here we have. Oh, it's flipped it. Flipping heck! Right, how do I turn that off? Sorry. Do pardon me for just struggling a little with this. And anyway, this is what the bottle looks like, ignoring the fact that it's the wrong way around, which is typical. But
if you just hold a mirror up to the side of your screen.
Yeah, hold a mirror up to the side of the screen. So we've got Pour l'Histoire and Musc de Sèvres et Men sur Lit. So this is obviously both the part of the world it's in and the technique by which it's made. And you stir it. You really want to integrate that kind of these cool flavors from it. And yeah, this is the Pour l'Histoire 2023. So that's that one out. I'm going to zoom out so you don't have to put up with my big face. Lovely tasting notes. Nectarine, smoothness, florality, sweeter than wine number one. I like that. Sweeter than wine one. And I think it's certainly fruitier, and I suspect it's slightly sweeter as well. Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely more fruit content to it. There's more juicy fruits in there.
So how do we tell whether something's fruity and therefore reminds us of sweetness, or if it actually has sugar, lots of sugar in it? One of the key ways that you are trained to do this, if you go through the whole sort of wine education thing, is to pinch your nose so you're denied that kind of aroma side of things, and then your tongue takes over the tasting of it. And your tongue obviously has taste buds which are looking for acidity and sweetness and things like that, and you will notice the sweetness more, even if you've denied it your ability to speak like this, and then suddenly you sound a bit like Keir Starmer. But let's ignore that. But yeah, wine number two, a really interesting, really good food wine. I think it's got to be seafood for this, hasn't it?
Oh, absolutely, without a question, without.
Yeah, no, like I could even go with something a bit stronger flavored than your sort of oysters, which is that classic thing. I would love to go with something like red mullet or something like that. Quick question was, is it 100% melon de Bourgogne?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. There you go. Happy days. And also another question: are the skins of the grapes in the wine, or are special other lees kept for the purpose? So this one specifically, when you're making a white wine, you generally press the juice off from the skins almost immediately. You might leave them to macerate or soak and just mix for a day at low temperature, maybe. Probably not much more than that. And then what you're left with, what the lees you're left with is potentially some little bits that came out of the pressing. So there'll just be some little bits of the pulp that have escaped and have gone down. Some solids do come into it.
But not by choice.
Not by choice. No, the main solids you're left with are actually the yeast cells, which expand from you generally put in the yeast. And so you'll have selected your yeast very on purpose, like going, and often you might use different yeast in different barrels or for different sections of your vineyard, just to give a bit of complexity, because they do generate different flavors. But it's just like baking. You add your yeast to it, and when they've done their job and they've created the alcohol, they've turned the sugar into alcohol, they exist as this sort of cloudy sort of thing in the wine that then drops down as the wine settles and as all the activity slows down. They drop down to the bottom of the tank and they will sit there. And so if someone comes along and stirs them around, it will integrate the flavors that you get from those yeast cells.
Absolutely. So what happens? So you got the barrel, the yeast all drops down to the bottom.
Yeah.
If you want to have a clear, fresh, yeasty wine,
simple
you'll
wine.
do what's called racking, and you will just take the wine off from over the top of the lees, just
Yep.
drain it off,
Pump it
gone,
out or
leave-
siphon it off.
leave the lees in the barrel. That's it.
Yeah.
See you later.
Yeah.
The surly is adding the texture because the yeast will add this brioche, bready, toasty kind of characteristic. So you can either leave the lees in the bottom, leave the wine on it if you just want a little bit.
Yeah.
Or you can use a technique called batonnage where you stick a big stick in there and mix it up a load. And then obviously you get more lees contact with the juice, and therefore you get more leesy flavors. And so once again, you can have no lees contact. You can have some where they leave it at the bottom. You can give it a little stir. We can give it a big stir.
Yeah.
You've got lots of options there. So once again, with everything, is what is the winemaker trying to achieve?
What do you want to do? And what's the right thing for the kind of juice that's in there? So yeah. So really cool. That's a great question. Thank you, Russell. One last look at this. I think it's all looking very clear. That's a nice lot of tasting notes. Excellent stuff. So yeah. So wine number 2.
Happy days.
Really happy days. And also great to follow on from the Advent calendar Muscadet as well. Yeah, I like that. Excellent. So what's wine number 3 then?
Wine number 3. Hybrids. So this is biology, sir. Biology.
Okay. Can I have the bottle while you grab that?
You can have.
Thank you.
The Franken bottle.
Excellent. So, the astute of you may notice that this wine is in a bottle which is not shaped like your typical bottle. And we won't go too much into why, but that is a classic of the Franken region of Germany. So around the city of Würzburg. Yeah, really, really cool looking bottle. Very sort of asymmetric as you look around. And
as a sommelier, I hate it because it doesn't fit in any wine rack or any wine fridge ever known to man. But that's what we've got.
But it's cool. It's cool.
It is cool.
I will move the tasting notes on.
It's interesting, and it does remind me of 1982.
It does a bit, doesn't it? Yeah.
It does
it's all a little bit
dark glass
sort of old-fashioned.
So we are drinking Schirebe, and this is by Horst Sauer. So we're in Franken, we're in Germany.
Yeah.
And so Schirebe is a hybrid. So there's different ways to make different grapes. There's hybrids, there's crosses, there's
and there's a neat little. So we don't have to go into all of it tonight. We absolutely don't. But do take a look at that's up there. Do take a look at your biology textbook, and you'll find a bit of a breakdown. So the difference between what is just a typical classic wine grape like Cabernet Sauvignon or Chardonnay, what leads to a mutation, a small mutation, which changes the kind of properties of that grape. So, for example, as we say, Pinot Blanc turning into Pinot Gris, suddenly you've got a slightly pinky sort of grape skin. And then clones where it's still the same grape, but there's been a slight change. We've selected this one, which is ever so slightly different in the vineyard. We're going, we like that one because the grapes are slightly smaller or more spaced.
It does better on clay soil. Or
it does exactly. And then crosses, where you'll take one classic wine grape and take another classic wine grape, and you sit them down on the special chair, and they have a special conversation.
Like a pinotage.
Like baby grapes come from this special conversation, such as Cabernet Franc and Sauvignon Blanc coming together to make Cabernet Sauvignon. So that's your cross, but they're both wine grapes. The hybrids are where you're bringing in something which is from a not traditional wine making family.
So yes, so most of the grapes that we know as your classic grapes, your noble grapes, the Merlots, the Chardonnays, the Rieslings, the Sauvignon Blancs, are Vitis vinifera.
Yeah,
and then you've got other ones like Vitis Lambrusca, Vitis Americanus, and other bits and pieces. So what someone will do sometimes is go, I would like to make something, but this doesn't grow very well here because it's not great for the climate, or I want to have a slightly different flavor. I want this to be able to do something. So they will blend it. They will bring something that will have those characteristics, will be able to survive that environment, whether it's disease, weather, mildew, whatever it is. They do that. However, this is a cross. Yes.
It is a cross.
It is a
but it's a
cross.
hybrid cross. so a cross is between two different genetic sort of strains. They are effectively, you take the man grape and the lady grape and have a little baby grape together. And this particular one is where it becomes a hybrid, is where it's from a non-wine grape family. And there are many reasons why you'd want to do that. It might be flavor, it might be ripening early, or it might be for reasons such as its disease resistance, because that is becoming an increasing challenge in the world, because we don't want to be going out and spraying fungicides and herbicides all across the vineyard all through the year. For starters, so that you're not drinking those fungicides and herbicides, each of those that are approved to be used internationally, they will have a period which you have to not spray between then and when they're harvested. So if you got an estimated harvest date, I think we're going to have harvest these on the 1st of November. You might have 2 months where you can't spray the grapes. Now, in that period, you get some bad weather and your entire crop is gone. It's just gone, completely dead. So having something that is a bit more resilient can save you economically from your entire vineyard going bust. So it's a really strong argument. The problem is that with every strong logical argument, like, this makes a lot of sense. Who goes into Sainsbury's and says, I would like a Shiraz or a Solaris?
Me.
You do.
Yeah.
However, everyone's not Jamie.
Case in point.
Case in point, yeah.
So
obviously everybody is Jamie. So yeah.
Anyway, Shiraz, I love Shiraz, but I like this style of wine. This is my style of wine.
It is.
I like my Rieslings. I like my Gewürzes.
It is like Starburst.
This is this was created by George Shu, has Shiraz, which is brilliant, isn't it? It's from once I first got into wine, and then more stories I heard and more things and whatever. So it was created in 1916, and I was first ever told that it was Riesling and a wild grape. It then followed up that it was Riesling and Silvaner, and then most recently it's been, with DNA testing, it is Riesling and Burgtraub. So the whole reason behind this was they wanted to have more aromatics. And who wants more aromatics than Riesling? Apparently you do. So more aromatics and to be more frost resistant. And what I think is great about this, Shiraz is sometimes just seen as, we made some, we're doing it, whatever. This is from a Ernst Lag vineyard, which is VDN, which is the equivalent of Grand Cru.
Yeah.
The original, it's Grand Cru German vineyard making Shiraz. Residual sugar is about 32. So,
pronunciation of all these wonderful things that we go around the world, we aren't always 100% perfect. You're quite right. It is more like Schreiber, and also Erste Lager. Is that right? Erste Lager?
Erste Lager?
Something like that. I don't know. We're not German. I was just ripped to pieces in Austria for my pronunciation of Prost. Apparently, so I thought I could get a simple word like cheers, right? But apparently my pronunciation is very lacking. So apologies to all the German speakers in the building. What is the RS on it?
32.
Yeah, it does feel like about that, doesn't it?
So the lump is the single vineyard.
This is a single vineyard.
So Erstendorfen lump is the A.
Yeah,
that's what.
Eschendorfer lump. I don't know. I have a feeling that Russell will tell us. Please correct us on our pronunciation, because we don't know.
Yes. Delicious wine,
but it's delicious, and it's from
in a cool shaped bottle.
So,
what are the tasting notes looking like?
What are the tasting notes looking like? Wow! Oh my word! Look at that. That's so cool. So we've got everything from candy, and I do get that sort of starburst, like the zingy, really acidic citric acid sort of thing you get from those things. That's really cool. But we've got fennel in there.
It is so.
Wow. Like a dessert wine. It is a bit like a dessert wine.
So I packed up for a friend for cocktails and stuff at the end of last year. Single serve portions of mango syrup to make cocktails.
Nice.
That's what this smells like.
So this is the couple that make this now here, and we're dealing with The owner and his daughter, whose name I've just misplaced, which is really dumb of me. Beth is the daughter, and the two of them, they are both responsible for making this wine. That's great. I have got these photos of Würzburg, which is not where this wine is made, but it is basically the main city of the Franken region. I took this. Our flat was just across the river, and you can see the grapes going up towards the castle there, the Schloss, and not only were the hills so steep that even on these short slopes they had to use these crazy machines to go and harvest them, but it was all things like Silvaner and some of the lesser known grape varieties that were made and were being made into absolutely delicious wines. So it's really, really cool to see that happening. That's a lot. That is a fruit bowl in a tasting note cloud. And slate. So we've obviously got things like the minerality coming into it there. I love the roast lemon chicken. That's great. I like that one. That's excellent. So some cool stuff happening there. The German wife is laughing, as it should be. Alles gut, alles klar.
don't try any further.
But it's delicious. So we're all in agreement that while our pronunciation of German words is terrible,
well, what we have when we do the 31 days of German wine in July, we can just bring a guest host on.
Hosts. Anyone wants to come on with us?
If anyone wants to guest host and correct our pronunciation, we could do a little phonetics.
Let's do that.
Brilliant.
Sehr gut. Fantastic. So, but it is really fun wine.
I think this is the epitome of what I like to put in the tasting. But as you said, people aren't thinking, would you like something?
Who goes into a shop and buys a Schreiber?
Well, in that bottle.
In that bottle, true.
But 11.5% alcohol, so it's not mashing up. But they do have some technical winemaking. It has spent 4.5 months on the lees. It's so there is that texture. It's good winemaking, and you can only get enough ripeness of this on the south facing slopes. And the fact that it is in that first class growth level.
Yep.
But when you hear about the great wines and the great wines of Germany, you hear Riesling, you hear Pinot Noir.
No one says.
I'm not going to say it. Yeah, no one says this grape.
No. So I don't know quite how to follow on from that, but I've still got lots in my glass, and it's really nice. I like it. We had some fabulous wines. We sat and we were next to the River Rhine. I think it was the River Rhine. It must be at least a tributary of the River Rhine, and it genuinely was fascinating to see all these wines that don't really get the international recognition that they deserve, and have this identity which is so important to preserve. So while it does look a little bit like a certain,
I want to jump in here and just be, it's not a wine tasting, it's a comedy show. Come 2026, it's a wine / comedy.
Has it ever been anything different?
I don't know. No one's usually laughed at the joke. Oh, because it weren't jokes.
They're laughing at us. That's fine. All is good. Okay, so where are we going to next? What's the topic after the break? And what is the break? We don't have a break. Carry your books to the next lesson.
We are going to, we should have had a little bell, shouldn't we, between each thing and a 2-minute break.
Yeah, we should do.
We are heading to England.
And
we are heading to the New Forest.
So does that mean it's about time, as well as obviously turning the tasting notes on, which I'm going to now? Does that mean it's time for a video?
So, no.
All right. Okay. So fine. Let's talk about it.
I'm just going to put. Let's get wine for in the glass, because
what are the typical grape varieties that we grow in England?
Not this.
No.
So I'm just going to put this into a little bit of context. So I am. You may or may not know, I'm part of the AWE, the Association of Wine Educators, and I was at
look at that
English wine CPD at the end of last year. And this wine got put in my glass, and I was told this is an English Gewürztraminer. I'm like, it's madness. And Richard Banfield, MW, was like, these guys grow their stuff in polytunnels, And there was a whole conversation about should you, shouldn't you? Is that right? Is that terroir? Surely you should be growing in the elements or whatever. And I was intrigued because I thought, we talk so much about England having a bad vintage and we can't grow anything. We can't get any ripeness. We have problems with it. I'm like, I've got to go and see this place. So a few weeks ago, I went down to the New Forest and met with Sandy Booth, who makes this. And yeah, so get tasting, get your notes in. We'll chuck a quick video because I got to play with the drone down there. So there's no professional footage here. So this is just stuff that I check. But just a couple of minutes so you can kind of see what's going on, see the scale of it, and then we'll come back and this is something get in the chat and ask questions because I think this is really cool and I would quite happily talk about this for a little
there's
while.
Not much like this around, so we'll get the video up.
That sounds good.
See you in a bit. I've got to say, I'm impressed with the fact that Jamie flew my drone inside
Down
the
a polytunnel.
polytunnel without crashing. Because I flew it outside the polytunnel and still managed to crash it in Essex, wasn't it? So there we go. But yeah.
So this was amazing. So I went down. So went to two wineries. I went to Setley Ridge, who I mentioned because they make really, really good red blend, but they only do it. You go down there, it's a little farm shop. There's a garden centre, the vineyards out the back, but they only sell out the farm shop. So. But if you're ever in the New Forest, there's some, a couple of cool places. But these guys are, really it's the New Forest Fruit Company, and they've made all their money.
Doing asparagus and strawberries, things like that.
And they were one of the first people that started growing asparagus in polytunnels. And everyone looked at it going, you can't grow asparagus in polytunnels. That's handmade. And suddenly, 2-3 years later, all their competitors are now growing asparagus in polytunnels. So when I tasted this wine is as it is. It's unfined. It's
unfined, unfiltered, and it is meant to look like that. And it would smell a lot different if it had gone off, because there is a bit of a residual sugar in it.
There is absolutely.
So
it would be fizzy.
This is the kind of wine that would want to go off in days. Like if you packed this in any other packaging system apart from ours, or a sterilized glass bottle under sterile conditions, it would immediately go off. It would immediately start dying. So it does look very different. And it does look a bit like a scrumpy. You're quite right. So, but that's a deliberate choice. And some people like that and some people don't like that. And that's absolutely fine. It doesn't matter if you don't. So the question is, what do we think of it? So what are we tasting? And I think the first comment that obviously comes up is that Turkish delight, which is the classic Gewürztraminer.
You got rose, lychee, floral. So what's
That's an excellent
point. It is a bit
it's a bit funky. But it's
natural, it's a small, tiny winery.
It's funky, but not in a faulty way.
Yeah. So Sandy Booth, the owner, Guillaume Lager is the winemaker who makes the Worry experience as well, and he makes Orange Bacchus and things like that.
So
he makes
cool
that kind of
cool crowd,
like the low intervention. kind of cool wines. But what was fun about this, and I think I've got a couple of pictures on there as well, is so you've obviously got the polytunnel, which allows them to do whatever they want to do. You know, you can grow whatever you want because
Is that one?
so that's Sandy. That's in the winery. If you go to the winery, there's another one next to it. So that's inside the polytunnel. That's their Nebbiolo that they're growing at the moment. So you know who doesn't need a bit of English Nebbiolo? Because what they've got is with the polytunnel, it obviously gets 4 to 5 degrees warmer in the polytunnel than it is outside if you leave it closed. So you've got that. And what they've got here, so people go, oh, there's no terroir. But so those beds are built up from the ground to improve root depth, but it still goes down into the ground. So you know that bottom bit is open to the soil underneath. So it goes down. But what they're then able to do is control every drop of water, every drop of nutrient, every drop of everything that vine needs to be perfect. If it gets too hot, guess what? They can open the doors.
Yep.
Breeze comes through. They don't have any pressure on when they need to harvest. They don't need to worry about the rains coming, so they can pick when they want. If they want to run through till January, they can.
And sometimes you absolutely want the vines to be a little bit stressed. So that's the wonderful thing about drip irrigation. I was going to try to call it colonic irrigation, but that's something very different. And the drip irrigation, you control exactly how stressed that plant is. Like, and if it is not getting enough, it will devote its efforts into different areas. And obviously it will drive the roots down deeper. And so it will be putting all of its efforts into making longer roots or wider roots rather than trying to push up into the ground or ripening the fruits more. So it's all about what is the priority of that plant at that particular time. And so you can control that a bit. And they get not just to control how much moisture it gets, but what is the soil in those little beds. So I think it's a really fun project. Now, is it a style of farming that I would fall in love with? To me, it's a bit artificial, but I have to say I respect the end result. I think it's really interesting, fun wine.
So I think it's. I like it. I like the ability to grow what you want to grow because you like it and that's what you want to drink. And that's kind of Sandy's kind of thing. Cool. You know? So if you go, oh, I want to grow wine in the UK, right, and I want to be a winemaker, but I don't really like Chardonnay.
Yep,
I like Tempranillo.
Then
well, you ain't going to do it, are you?
Work out how to grow Tempranillo.
You're going to move to Spain.
Yeah,
or you can do this.
I mean, there's a bit of me that thinks, but there's plenty of Tempranillo in Spain that needs to be used and needs to be turned into wine. So just go and do it. But I also think, why not? Why the hell not? Let people do what the hell they want to. So let us judge it based on what we think of the end result.
And this is new. They're only a few vintages in. The Nebbiolo is not going to be ready for another 2 years, 3 years. But they're investing in it bit by bit. Their red blend was brilliant. The B58 red blend was brilliant. They've got a Gewürztraminer dessert wine mixed with a Gewürz orange, I believe, that's on its way out.
Fair enough.
So it's very, very experimental at the moment.
So,
and I think
that's what the British industry needs.
The proof will be in the pudding. And the tasting notes that come in here, the loves, the hates, the I'm indifferent. That's what I feed back to them because they're really excited to hear what people say.
Yeah,
because they're only making.
And just another look at that. Look at the level of tasting notes we've got there. And yes, there are some that are saying like, Elastoplast and air freshener. But I think it's a really cool wine. And I absolutely think that if we don't have heritage. We don't have any heritage in this country.
I love a wine that can be so divisive.
Yeah.
I think it's brilliant. And I think this is this something I would drink 3 bottles of?
No,
maybe not.
No,
but is this something that I would love to find at my local wine bar by the glass to go?
Yeah, look, with the right food.
Let me show you know
Okay.
when you've got your wine geek. Anyone who's absolute wine geek on this and wants to show something cool to their mates, this is the bottle from this tasting to show them, isn't it?
It definitely is. You're absolutely right. And I okay, right. So Gewürztraminer is a wine that I have no idea what to pair with it, other than maybe, as you say, Turkish delight. What the hell would you drink with this? Eat with this. I genuinely don't know.
So you can't go something with a little bit of spice. You can't go like because Riesling can go quite spicy because Riesling can be linear, and that's something that's got a bit of like a pad thai or something like that. You know when you go into it, people go, I don't like spicy food, but you want to take them for something spicy. You go, well, what's beginner spicy food? This is what that's for. This with sushi would be great if the sushi's got a little bit of a kick to it. With just a little touch of wasabi. Sushi with a little wasabi, so you've got that spice, that's horseradish, goes really well with that floriness, and you've still got, there's a lot more weight and texture in this than you find in kind of like your bone dry Riesling.
Yeah.
But you've still got that brilliant acidity. You've got that lovely floralness. Anything that people are serving up, with. People are doing a lot of stuff with like micro edible flowers and stuff like that. Anything that's got that kind of floral stuff on it will go well.
Cool.
Anything that's using rose water, that kind of stuff will be brilliant. If you had, if anything else had that Indian dessert gulab jamun, the little kind of like Indian donuts that's made with rose water and cardamom, that would be brilliant.
Take you out on that one. Okay.
Cool. Beautiful little syrupy donuts. So good.
Doesn't sound horrible, that's for sure.
But I think that the last two wines are the epitome of why we do this club.
I've got a question. Is Finbar on tonight? Finn, are you on tonight? If so, make your presence made clear because normally Finn comes up with some good food pairing options as well.
We need him.
So no. I think we've got that. And so Colin has a great question: does it come in pints?
Well, you know what? It's a big pint.
That's basically a pint and a half.
It's a pint and a bit. Exactly.
And a half,
There we are.
So convenient pint and a half size bottle. Really fun to do these wines that are a little bit different. So, excellent. So this is a new release. It's a very new wine, isn't it? So, what do people from typical Gewürztraminer regions think about this sort of thing? I don't think it's even on their radar.
No, I don't think so.
I think
but I think this is a really good point.
Yeah.
The people from Alsace, do they think it's a classic Gewürztraminer? Do the people from California, do the people from Chablis think that California is a classic Chardonnay?
True. Yeah.
They might be. I don't know of anyone else growing Gewürz in the UK.
No.
I might be wrong. There might be someone in the Polytunnel in Cornwall or something doing it.
No, not common.
But does it have to be Alsatian? Can it be its own style? Is this what a New Forest Polytunnel Gewürztraminer is supposed to taste like? And that becomes the style, and that's going to be on next year's diploma exam.
Do you know what? It's never going to be a style. But why shouldn't we encourage innovation? Why shouldn't we encourage people to do?
But I think there's something fun about loving local wines where you know the people, wines where you've been, and I think this is what I really want to try and get in. And you probably see it from the club when I get to travel somewhere, I get to meet the people and I get to see the things. Those are the wines I want to share because it's not. Yes, for everyone at home, this is tasting the wine for the first time. You're hearing me yabber on about it. But to have been down there and see that and the hospitality and the time they took with me and the passion that they have about what they're trying to do, and also hands up, go, we're new to this. We're trying to get there, is, I think, absolutely admirable because anyone else could do that. Let's create some more Chardonnay.
They have both a scientific and an environmental approach to it, which are two things that I admire in it, which is, they are trying to use what they've learned from other industries. Now, that's a passion for me, is for other industries to learn from each other. Like, why should we be in our little sort of vertical kind of polytunnel, as it were, I suppose, but why should we not learn from the good practices of what other industries are doing? So the fact is they're bringing in decades of fruit growing knowledge to growing fruit.
To be
The fact that it's made for wine.
I just want to make a point to Russell's point here. New Forest Gewürztraminer in a polytunnel rolls off the tongue much better than anything I've tried to say in German today.
Fair enough.
So
fair
I'm
enough.
okay. Yeah, it's a step. It's a step up from my charade.
That is totally fair. So yeah, what a fun wine. That has certainly created some conversation. That's awesome. Yeah, it's not. I don't think this style of wine is ever going to be your replacement for a Pinot Grigio.
It's good for a drinking game. Never have I ever had a New Forest polytunnel Gewürztraminer.
No. And also, can I ask that like, am I going mad? But for certainly people of the Derry and Freya genre of people, was it not always I have never, not never have I ever? Where did it become so complicated and so wordy? It was always I have never, wasn't it? Am I misremembering that?
Look at that. Helen's in. So, Finn, if you're not live, you're replaced for 2026 until you come back.
It is true. It's
true. We've got a new...
some pad thai or some tonkakai. Yeah,
absolutely agree.
Great stuff. So for anyone who does want, in the absence of Finn, to go and read what he thinks about food pairings and whatnot, he's actually published an article. Our member of the club has published an article. Why is it up there? I don't know. It's for some reason it's up there. And Finn has done a trip to Canada, and he has been published in The Buyer, giving his judgments on some of the Canadian wines in the Okanagan Peninsula.
So there's a little scan there.
Scan that code, and
I'll send him a note. I'll send him a note back and see if he's happy to share it with everyone. I'll pop it out in an email to everyone.
Why were you not here? No, let's go. So go for that. And yes, exactly. I have never, until you went to Imperial College. It was I have never. You would have thought that Cambridge was a place that was not overcomplicating things.
Okay,
it turns out apparently so. But
we never thought about time to move on.
No one can replace Finn. Maybe a kebab. A kebab would go beautifully with most things.
Bit chili sauce.
Yeah, excellent. Let's go on. Let's get to wine number whatever it is. 4, 5. Good. That means we're on time. Excellent.
Okay, so 5. We are heading to. We're going to environmental science and climate change.
Yes, because it turns out
it's getting warmer.
Who can say anything without being political these days? But all we can say is that winemakers have to harvest grapes, and they have to harvest grapes to make wine, and they look at the level of sugar, and the sugar comes from the sunshine. The sunshine goes onto the leaves. The leaves have chlorophyll in them. That it does a thing called photosynthesis, which basically turns the carbon dioxide and the water crossed with some magic, and it creates sugars, and it pumps those into the berries to ripen the berries. And that's happening faster because there's more heat and more sunlight, and that is undeniable. And there are some beautiful graphs which are, I'm going to dig out when Jamie takes over from me and starts talking about things. It's happening. It's undeniable. It is months that the harvest date has come forward, and you go out and you use a little tool called refractometer.
Yeah.
And you put a drop of the grape juice onto the end of this, and you look through it like a
refractometer.
Yes, or
telescope.
Telescope is what I was going for, but that works too.
Or a kaleidoscope.
Well, no, we're not going to go there. Okay. And there's a little sort of graduated line which how far the liquid creeps up tells you how much sugar there is in the juice, and you go, shit, I need to harvest next week. and you go, that's a week earlier than last year, which was a week earlier than the year before, which was a week earlier than the year before. And it keeps on going. So there is indisputable evidence that whatever you think the reason is for the climate changing, the climate's changing, and the grapes are getting ripe earlier. And many of us think that we should probably do something about the reasons that that's happening, but we're not going to go into that. now we're going to go into the element, because we've talked about like sort of, you know, trying to fix the soil, trying to like through regenerative and trying to take on. We're going to do a big deep dive into regenerative and organic and biodynamic sort of practices and all those kind of things. What we're talking about now is if we accept that it is going to change, what do we do about that?
And we're looking at more and more winemakers trying to get ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
And we're seeing it, and it's quite difficult in the old world because there's so many rules and regulations about what you can grow, can't grow, whatever. So, you know, you're kind of stuck. And I think looking at English Chardonnay and Chablis, people go, an English Chardonnay is generally a bit more crisp, a bit more mineral than a Chablis. But I think an English Chardonnay kind of tastes like a Chablis did 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And a Chablis kind of tastes like a Macon did 10 years ago.
Exactly.
So we're kind of seeing that, you know, it's getting warmer further. You know, we're seeing people growing grapes in Lincolnshire now. It's Scotland.
Yeah.
And, you know, making decent wine.
The people who've been on our wonderful advent calendar will have had the sozzled squirrel, which was absolutely one of those things. It was A, use the fact there was hybrid grapes, and B, use the fact the climate was changing to make a freaking delicious, drinkable, sort of aromatic wine in the middle of the north of England. Was it North? No,
Lincolnshire.
North Lincolnshire. Oh, it's Lincolnshire.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So yeah, that's why you said it. Happy
Yeah,
days.
exactly.
So,
but what we're seeing, so we're seeing some people do little bits of change. You know, Bordeaux are now allowing, you know, more grapes into their
Portuguese
blends,
grapes and things.
You know, but you can't make 100% Touriga Nacional in Bordeaux and call it that, but you're allowed to put a little bit in. But I think Australia, and this is why we pulled this, and this isn't so much about a winery that's ripped everything and changed. We've got an old vine, delicious bit of juice here while I talk about climate change. You know, Shiraz is having a really, really tough time because as people are trying to drink less, drink better, Shiraz is getting riper and riper and riper and harder and harder and harder to control. And we're starting to see the wines go from 13 to 14 to 14 up to 16%.
Yeah.
You know, I saw in California a few years ago, there's a 16.9% Zinfandel. Absolute madness. It's like,
and those are the ones that are honest. You know?
But it's like fortified wine. So what they're trying to do is find grapes that ripen later, can still keep that balance of phenolic and fruit ripeness. And this is why Grenache, I think the two that are going to be the big things to watch, you know, and I know Australia's a big place. Well, South Australia, the two things to watch are going to be Grenache and Durif or Petit Syrah. You know, Grenache, years ago, I talked to Giles Cook, MW, who makes a wine called Thistledown. And he was telling me, you know, when they first started doing that, like, people would just take my Grenache. No one wants Grenache. Have it. Done. And now in McLaren Vale, it's the most expensive grape to buy.
Holy moly.
Because it can be, it makes delicious wine, but it can be controlled, it can be balanced, and it fits.
Grenache has now overtaken Shiraz in terms of local consumption. So Aussies drink more Grenache than they drink Shiraz. If you go and buy an Aussie red wine around the rest of the world, it's probably going to be a Shiraz or, you know, some kind of a Shiraz-based blend.
Yeah.
So Grenache is the local favourite now. So that's the long and complex reason why we're drinking Grenache here. So what does that give us? What kind of a wine is that?
So this is Lone Palm Vineyard. These vines are 80 years old. So this big, gnarly, thick root, and you know, I'm a big fan of old vines at the moment. You know, well, always, but you know, we've done a lot of stuff with old vines recently. So these big, gnarly roots, a little bit of whole bunch in there, 20% ish. Which kind of gives you know that little bit of greenness, that little stalkiness. But this is just
Russell's nailed this. This does not taste like a 14.5% alcohol wine. Holy moly!
No, it's
so much lighter than that.
Grenache is weird. So I was at the was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday I was at the Wine Australia and Wine New Zealand tasting in London, and there's a lot of Grenaches on show, and I kind of think I feel Grenache is a light grape because it's light compared to Shiraz or Cabernet
Yeah.
Sauvignon or Cabernet Franc.
Definitely.
But it's not light. It's not Pinot Noir.
It's not. No.
But
it's grown in places where Pinot Noir would just go.
So it's this weird. It's light but powerful, which doesn't sound like it should go together, but that's what it is. Does that make?
You're right. It's punchy, but it's not.
But it doesn't. The 14.5. If you had a Pinot Noir at 14.5,
it would
have to be Santa Barbara, and it would have to be black fruit, and is it a Pinot Noir or is it a Zinfandel? Not sure. But it's light, it's balanced. The balance is there. There's not the heat to it. It's just really well made. I think that's what you get with the old vine. Is you get this concentration of fruit. You get this depth of flavor. You get this, these sweet concentrated fruits without it being sugary, but these kind of like baked fruits that can take on that level of alcohol without it being
so the ultimate thing that you can do when your region is growing in heat like that, the last step you can do is to change the variety of grape that you're growing. And obviously you can dig out your old vine and plant a new one, which means you've lost your vineyard for a couple of years, which is painful. Or you could cut out a particular part of the vine and plant a new bud of that new variety, chip budding, and then you can grow that up. A bit of chip budding, and now your new vine grows out of it. And that is the other one from the biology section where we talked about grafted vines. That's grafting a new plant onto the old plant. So all of the different bits flow from the old vine, so it gets everything it needs.
You've still got your root structure.
Your root structure, everything is the old vine, and then your new vine. What it means is that every bit of new growth that comes out of that comes from the new vine, which is the right grape variety you're trying to grow. So you can do that, but there are other things you can do, and one of them is managing the canopy. The canopy is the leaves. All the leaves, which are like your big solar panel, which are gathering the sunlight. And if you are in England, you want to have quite a big, tall solar panel that collects a lot of light because there's not much of it. If you are in southern Australia and there's a lot of sunlight about, you don't want very much of it. So you can start reducing that a lot to try to do that.
But you've got to be careful because the canopy
also shades,
protects the grapes, and you don't want sunburn.
You don't want sunburn, precisely.
So you're in there is a bit of a double-edged sword of, well, so it is canopy management. It's not less is more. It's about having that right balance.
It's the right balance
to shade the grapes, but not have it overripe. It's a tough thing.
One of the papers I
could they build a massive refrigerated polytunnel?
Well, they could do that, or they could probably actually plant some solar panels over the top that partially shade the grapes, and that would also generate the electricity that their winery needs. So that's not a bad solution. But I had to do I had to write a paper when I was studying at Plumpton on the use of kinds of clay which are sprayed as they go through the vineyard. They spray this on almost like you're coating yourself in suntan lotion, and it acts basically as a completely wash-offable, like, natural material.
So I didn't realize. So same way like animals do it in the wild.
Yeah,
they'll cover themselves in mud.
They cover themselves in
natural sunscreen.
Yeah. So it is a natural sunscreen that they put onto the leaves and onto the grapes to try to protect them. So there are ways that you can do that. So there's lots of different things you can do, but ultimately you're fighting against nature, and you can only push yourself so far. When you get to the end of the road with that the problem is that if you allow the grapes to load themselves with sugar too fast, the flavors don't develop at the same speed. So you end up with underripe flavors combined with a lack of acidity and too much sugar. So you have a high alcohol, low acidity,
low flavor,
unripe flavor, low flavor wine, and nobody wants that. That's
not what you're looking
for. So that's the challenge for these sectors. So there's lots of different techniques you can use. So I think we should move on to wine number 6.
Probably.
This is lovely. How are you enjoying this one? I think Russell's comment is absolutely spot on. It's light, it's fruity, it's scrummy. We've got that predominantly sour cherry flavour, but lots of other berry flavours going into it. But it is earthy.
But I think there's something to be said that, you know, for winemakers to be able to navigate this, the consumers also got to be ready to try something new and allow it. So, you know, if we turn around, take Australian Shiraz as an example and go, you know, if it's Australia, it has to be Shiraz and I won't drink anything else and I'm not going to give everything else a go. That's no one's going to plant something new for there to be a go. And it will just be a point where Shiraz just in certain places isn't that, you know, unless, you know, it goes back to biology, you're looking at clonal selection or it becomes a hybrid or.
Well, I think that's one of the interesting things from a European point of view is how Europe tends to regulate towards a solution. It tends to regulate towards the existing status quo. And so they want to preserve the status quo, which is fine in a world where that's what everyone wants and nothing is changing. But the world is changing and more and more producers. We famously talk about Burgundy producers making Shiraz. We talk about
I saw Shiraz in Alsace a couple of years ago.
Alsace Shiraz. We talk about winemakers opting out of their local regulations to make a Vin de France, you know, a standard French wine, the lowest of the low for French wines, because that's the only way they can have any kind of innovation. So there you go. So lots of things to talk about.
Do you think Greenland's good for wine?
Greenland.
That's the plan. It's going to be the world's newest,
we'll make
biggest
Greenland
wine place.
wines great again. That is for sure.
Okay, so what are we moving on to?
That's wine 6, which is Rioja.
Rioja, and we are going.
Are we going to drink some great? Are we going to have drinking some great Rioja? Or are we going to have?
No, we'll have bagging boxes.
We'll have bagging boxes for you. Okay, fair enough.
So we are going to talk. We should have done this early because everyone's going to get bored out of their minds about economics at this time. So we're doing Rioja.
Living the dream.
Exactly. We need some late night Wednesday economics.
Late night Wednesday economics. Excellent.
So this
Very good.
This is Artesa from Ornelan. So Crianza Leather Rioja, which means it spent a little bit of time in barrel, a little bit of time in bottle before it's released. And this is the largest category of aged Rioja. So you've got Joven, you've got Crianza, you've got Reserva, you've got Gran Reserva, and then you've got Gran Añada at your very, very top level, which is new in the regulations since 2019.
To be fair, I didn't know about that one. So that's a new one to me. Happy days.
So I think there's been a lot of changes in wine and costs and values and what's important. You know, we've seen lots of rises in taxes and duty. There's another duty rise coming into place at the end of the week, February 1st.
Yeah, February 2nd, I think. February 2nd, but yeah.
So we've got another 3.66% added onto duty. And, you know, we're just...
Thanks, Rachel.
We're just seeing people squeezed from both ways. You know, the costs are coming up for the winemakers and the retailers, and the amount of money people have in their pockets to spend on the wine stuff is coming down. So there's a little bit of a squeeze in the middle.
What's really great is at least they aren't raising the business rates on any pubs or restaurants at all, are they? I mean, they're not doing that at all, are they?
This isn't a rant. This is a.
Is it not?
No, it's not a rant. If it's a rant, you can go home.
You should rant.
No, we're not ranting. We're being sensible people about this.
So
we've got that duty rise. We're seeing it from both ends, and there is the question of what can wineries do, what can winemakers do, and we just kind of want to, you know, throw some things out so people have an understanding, because we go, all right, so it's a bottle of grape juice. Why does a bottle of grape juice at one point cost £3 an Aldi, and at the other point cost $8,500 out of Bordeaux?
Yeah.
Surely it's a bunch of grapes put into that.
And we've stuck this little demonstrative kind of diagram into the thing. Now I came up with these costs myself, so I apologize if anything I've got wrong, but I don't think it's unreal, because yes, we have seen some things like the supermarkets have been pushing wine producers down to lower alcohol percentages, but I don't think it's fair to compare that. So this is for a 14% ABV Rioja. And you can see the vast change. In just 10 years, the tax has gone up by 75%, on top of the fact that they were already finding a real struggle for their transport costs, their glass costs, after the factories of Ukraine got destroyed that were making lots of glass, after the costs of the gas that was used to melt the glass went up, after the costs of the fuel that was used to transport it all around Europe was and the world was increased. So the packaging costs have practically doubled. And obviously, labour costs have therefore doubled because everyone's cost of living has risen up, and so we're seeing the absolute blunt end of that kind of cost of living increase. And yet, I can show you that. And yet, we all know you can go into Aldi and you can get yourself a bottle of wine for £4 still. So, what's going on there?
So, I think that it's absolute route to market. And if you're an independent wine merchant, you're selling one thing. You're selling wine, and therefore you have to make your money on wine.
Yeah.
If you are a multifaceted retailer, that's what I call it, you have multiple things, and you're therefore able to sell some things that will drag people in the door as a loss leader to go, well, they do that, and therefore they will buy their other things, and that's where they make their money. Or they know people are coming in to buy their other things, and then they sell something that people would have potentially bought somewhere else cheaper, so they don't go and spend any money anywhere else. So that's the retail side of things. But then there's also within the wineries where the costs are, and this is why we've done Rioja for this one, because Rioja has a lot of cost involved in winemaking.
Yep.
Because it is probably the most famous region in the world for oak aging.
Yeah.
So you've got Crianza, which is, and just let me get that, aged for 2 years, 1 year in the barrel. Reserva is 3 years with at least 1 year in the barrel. Grand Reserva at least 2 years in the barrel on a 5-year aging process. Some people will do it for longer. So if you want to buy a bottle of Rioja, and let's go from scratch.
Yeah.
Dave goes to Rioja and he wants to make a vineyard. He buys a field, yeah?
Yeah.
He plants some Tempranillo, and he harvests it in 5 years?
Yeah, okay.
Let's go
with that.
Could be long. So he has paid rent on his land and put his stuff in the ground.
Yeah, or his mortgage, but
and he's grown it, or whatever. For
all the farming fees.
For 5 years with zero income.
Yeah.
Yeah. He then picks those grapes, puts them in he's had to buy some barrels.
He's had to buy,
He's then put that in a barrel for another year.
Yeah.
And he's got his wine. He's had to rent get a mortgage on a storage place to keep that barrel. And then he puts in a bottle, holds on to that for another year.
Yeah.
And then he can sell it. So he is 7 years before he can sell you that first bottle of wine. If he decides he's only going to make Grand Reserva, he's 10 years before he can sell you that first bottle of wine. And so all this...
That has a cost.
Exactly. So there's the rentals. So should these Spanish wineries get rid of Grand Reserva so they can move their stuff quicker? Or does Grand Reserva, should it be commanding a much better price because of the costs involved? Is something that's held in barrel for another 2 years or another 2 years in bottle, is it that much better? Should it be £5, £10, £50 more?
And often people don't associate that kind of the effort with the value, with the price. They go, I don't. They prefer the young fruity wines a lot. But
that's all about it. And I think there's a certain thing about what should a bottle of wine cost. If anyone's ever
what should a car cost?
Well, but if anyone's ever gone to Germany, you seen those slopes?
Yeah,
they're like this, and you can't take any machine up there, and you've got a man or a lady or whoever's picking the wine, with a thing on the back going up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. Okay, right. Should that be a fault? Because I would not be going up and up and up and down to then sell you a £4 bottle of wine.
No.
So there's. I think sometimes we see a bottle of wine on the shelf and we see it as a commodity product, and a lot of wine is commodity product, but the stuff that is made by people and places and technique and
love,
care and quality, and in the right amount that they can make sure that everything is perfect.
And in a sustainable way, which can keep being done for years and years
those
without screwing things
wines
up.
need to be celebrated and respected. And I'm not saying everyone should drink 300 quid bottles of Burgundy every day. No. But I'm saying when you have a little look, you know, if you're in your independent merchant or you're in your, you know, whatever, you're in your wine aisle in the supermarket, have a little look. You know, can you
understand the impact of what the decisions are?
2 more quid to buy it from a grower rather than buying it from a.
So if you look at this little chart that I've made, this breaks it down into, there's two bits. There's the blue bit, which is how space efficient are you? So tanks are, let's assume tanks are 100% efficient because they go up to the ceiling and they can hold 10,000 litres in about 3 square metres. It's nothing. Barrels are about half as space efficient, and bottles, again, are about half as space efficient. So you're talking about the tanks being about 4 times more space efficient. So you need a 4 times smaller building. That's in terms of the ground area. Like and so that means you need to buy a quarter of the land to put in tanks.
If you're doing a bulk 100,000 litre
or even 10,000 litre tanks, white wines. And in terms of then the cost per bottle, which is going down to not just the amount that building costs you, but also, do you need to handle those barrels at all? Do you need to do a bit of extra work to them? It's going up to like nearly a bit of battenage, but also racking. You know, you need to do top up. You need to top the barrels up to make sure that as the wine soaks into the wood, they don't get too much air in the top, which spoils the wine. So you need to keep looking after these. So looking after the wine in these sort of barrels and bottles, ultimately it ends up being vastly, vastly more expensive. So that ultimately is why it costs more on top of the existing taxes that we're already having to deal with. EPR is the new elephant in the room. It doesn't add that much when you look at that, but it's the about 20 pence a bottle in terms of the tax you get.
The thing is, it doesn't add that much on a 15 quid bottle of wine as a percentage, but on a 5 quid bottle of wine,
quite a lot.
And I think we don't need to go into today, but we've done those graphs so many times going, when you spend £5 more, you get so much more money for your wine.
Yeah. Derry has absolutely nailed this. It's great to talk about the economics, but the moment that your thing gets above, let's say, 25 quid, it's so ridiculously hard. And we see that as well. What our solution to this is, and do you know what? I'll chat to you about this later, but we want to get to the point where all of your entire wine list is available behind the bar in pouches. And therefore, you could just rip open a pre-measured, so no need for the
little metal
jigger, no need for washing that. Pour one of those straight into a glass, hand it to the customer for everything on your wine list. So we're going to have
space-saving, lightweight, recycling goes out the window because you've not got any glass bottles.
And then you can offer people the ability to have a more premium wine without. This isn't a sales pitch. This sounds like a sales pitch.
It is, but it isn't. It makes sense.
But wouldn't it be great if you could go and you have like this fabulous, like say Welsh lamb, a rack of Welsh lamb, and you can have a beautiful Grand Reserve glass of Rioja with that after you'd had something which you wanted white wine for, and then you wanted a dessert wine with your. So yeah, let's do that thing. So
the one above, I'll talk about.
I'll chat to you later,
and then you can talk about.
Feel sorry for the winemakers. Yes, the taxes are crazy, and it's useful to think about it. And the other thing that we didn't mention is that there is a glut of bulk wine in Europe. So winemakers are producing more than people want to drink, and that always leads to a demand/supply situation where the people who have a lot of supply but no demand get screwed. And so the Aldis of the world take massive advantage of that, just like there are other ones doing. So yeah.
So the question about boxed wine. So boxed wine is brilliant.
It can be fine
depending on it's all about what goes
Yeah.
in the thing, and it's about you've got to have a good enough quality, and you've got to have quick enough turnaround. The bag-in-box material will keep you people go, oh, it stays fresh for up to 6 weeks. What you've got to bear in mind on that, it is and it isn't. It's about when you open it, yes, but it's also about when it got put in that bag.
Yeah.
If it got put in that bag in Australia and then it sat on the dock for 6 months because no one wanted it, and because it was behind,
Yeah.
and it sat in that bag for a year before it gets, it's not going to be any good. Like the material of the bag-in-box is not designed age-wise.
It's
designed for quick consumption. I've got a friend in the States doing a company called the Really Good Box Wine Company.
Yeah, phenomenal wines, great
absolutely
packaging.
top-notch wines, great rosés, but they're doing like $70 for a bag-in-box. So really premium wine, but it's designed to be consumed quickly.
I think this nails it, doesn't it? Like the idea of opening a whole bottle and not wanting to drink all of it, and suddenly you go back to it a few days later, it's like, oh, that's just so disappointing now, and you end up
So I'm just putting it out there. Question for people in the chat, and who either are new, been with us for a while. Would you prefer to see more of the wines that we have in the shop just available? So obviously you have the tasting, but if we had the wine from the tasting available by the pouch that you could buy 2 or 5 or 6 or 25 of them rather than buying bottles, would you like to see that? Would that be something you'd buy?
Yeah, drop us a line. The economics chart. Let me. That's a great question, Russell. I will redo that because obviously there are ones available for those 5 quid bottles, but they haven't been redone like we've done for the new updates coming on.
I think there's a fact on that though. How much of it is where the loss is?
The answer is basically those winemakers are desperate to clear the tanks. They want their tanks back so that they can put new wine into it because they've got grapes coming. So they are in open competition, open warfare, and you could basically be selling. They will be selling their wine for like, let's say, less than €1 a litre, won't they?
Yeah,
like that's the sad reality of a lot of the bulk winemaking industry. So yeah.
Here we go. Wine with tasting notes. Single
wine
serves.
with tasting notes, single serves. We're going to be doing this in that we want to beat Coravan. That's our 2026 mission is we are going to basically provide a great alternative to the buy the bottle wine option, and we are going to help with that whole sort of by the glass thing with tasting notes. So there you go. There's your mission. Happy days.
Write some tasting notes.
I'm so sorry. It is 9:30.
So let's get to the quiz.
Let's get to the quiz. But quickly, we haven't really looked at this. So plum, sour cherry, tobacco, vanilla, bitterness. I mean, it's all your classic Rioja notes, isn't it? And a bit of eucalyptus. That's cool. What I don't see in here. Oh yeah, I do coconut. I was going to say I don't see coconut. I do see coconut. A little bit of coconut. Happy days. Stop it. Even my wife's beating me up about needing glasses. I approach 50 years old, for God's sake. Right. Wood smoke. It's a nice wine. Yeah. It's a really nice wine.
Absolutely. Right. So should we get people signing into the quiz? And while they sign into the quiz, I can do my housekeeping.
Let's do some
absolutely.
Housekeeping.
So anyone who's joined us for the first time,
I hope you've enjoyed it.
Sometimes it can be a little bit random.
A little bit much, a little bit random.
We would
don't worry, you'll get used to it.
We would love any feedback.
Yeah,
as we always say, it's your club. Without you joining us, there's no point us doing it. So
if you email, it's not to some random customer service center in
It's
India.
me or him.
It's us. So
that's it.
Don't worry.
So anyway, so next month we are doing wines of New Zealand. I was at the tasting yesterday. There's some absolutely brilliant stuff. So that's going to be a lot of fun. In March, we are doing a deep dive into the wines of Humia down in Spain.
Cool.
So that is, just so everyone's aware, that's going to be a very red heavy tasting because that's a lot of monostrel. I sent an email out today. Very, very excited. So I've been talking, this has been in the works for a little while. I was talking to Slurp Wine Tours. We are going to be doing a road trip in September. We've had a few people.
We are going to be doing it. What he means is he's found a way of getting a free holiday.
It's work, mate. It's always work. If I
can get along, I will.
We need to. semi-interest. We need to get 20 people to make it viable. But it's a proper.
We've already got a good few, so
yeah,
please do
get
in touch.
It's a proper travel company doing it, setting it up. I'm just coming along to showcase the wineries to you. So you're not worrying about me sorting your plane tickets for you. Okay, you've got that covered.
That's the actor and all that stuff.
Absolutely. So also, anyone who wants to come, if anyone is a wine person, if anyone is excited, if anyone wants to come and join us as a guest host, we're wanting to get more people, more voices, more stuff. So if you've got a specialist subject, if you'd like to get involved, we can help you source the wine. We'll pack them. You can join us, either come and hang out in the studio with us, or we can dial you in on Restream, like you've seen with the other guests we've had in the last few months.
And we will be having this isn't us copying out. We are organising other guests for the rest of the year as well. It's just that this time of year is the trade tasting time, and so everybody is quite busy. So January we didn't manage to get one, but we have a few others lined up.
We've got lots of stuff happening.
Getting lots of stuff happening. So,
and finally,
have
a look on our website, Wine Badgers. If you want to make your money go a little bit further, you can top up every month, anything from £25 up to £200. And then we will give you some free extra credit to make your wine go further. You don't have to spend anything all at once. You don't have to spend it monthly. You can bank it up and go from there. Anyway, let's jump to the quiz. Because
let's get on with it. Points. Yes, we got
loads in.
Whee!
Once again, you get points for being fast, points for being right, and a free tasting to a friend or family to the winner.
It's ticking. So what does the term ABV stand for? Is it another brilliant Viognier? Alcohol by volume? Alex being vigilant? Or anything but vitis vinifera? Good question there. Excellent.
I worked hard on that.
Yeah. Solid.
Is that 100%? First quiz of the year. Everybody's in.
The first time everyone's got 100% on the answer in a long time.
We're going home.
Okay.
But who's
it is the correct answer. And Daria's
in the lead.
In the lead.
Oh, it's close to seconds, isn't it?
Okay. So what is generally the part of the grape where you get, or otherwise where you get the red wine color from? Is it the skins, the seeds, the stems, or is it red dye and a red E129? Did you look that up? That's a good question.
Is it red dye? Either people have been listening, people have got really smart, or the quizzes are too easy. It's all about time.
Another 100% question. Goodness
I've
me.
I've gone soft in 2026.
Soft.
Okay,
You're absolutely soft person. Daria remains
still there,
in the lead, but Andre is tied, and Di and Andy are.
There's 2 seconds in the top 5.
So close. Okay, next question.
Someone's going to get upset about a lag, aren't they? There's a 2-second lag up. That's
what does surely aging mean? Does it mean that it's aged in new oak? It's aged on the dead yeast cells. It's aged in a bottle only, or it is aged under the sea.
Life is much better.
Excellent question.
Take it from me. It's a little sing along. Oh, it's not 100%, but it's still good.
It's still very good. Strong. The strong question. The answer is correct. Dead yeast cells on the lees. So this week, it's political. We've gone political. Oh no! Right. Who has Donald Trump threatened with a 200% tariff on wine? Is it France, China, England, or Spain?
Sorry, was that your Donald Trump saying China? My word.
China. There you go. The two of us are more than ample, apparently. Is that just referring to our guts? Probably.
Harsh.
Probably.
Anyway.
Harsh. The answer is correct.
88%
France. 88 miles an hour. Get to France. Get to the feature. Daria remains in the lead, but it is. Oh, it's getting less. Viola's up there now as well. Oh, this is good stuff. Okay. We have announced our first customer trip. Only minutes ago.
Only minutes ago. I should have left that till after to do the housekeeping at the end, but there we are. By the way, if we can do that, there is an option for a second. There is an option for a second one in October to Piedmont.
Oh, is there?
But I didn't want to push, blow everyone's minds too quickly.
Okay, Rioja, Rhone, Alsace, or Tuscania.
The fact is, if you got this wrong and I said it 13 seconds ago.
69.
They weren't
Is the
listening,
correct
were they?
answer.
They
There you
weren't
go.
listening.
Daria remains in the lead. It's still incredibly tight. Chris is close. Viola's pretty close as well. Okay, which of these regions has changed nationality 4 times in the last approximately 200 years? Is it Canelones, Uruguay, Santiago, Chile, Zaragoza, Spain, or Sussex, England?
Or Alsace.
Or
France.
Alsace, France.
Sussex, well, it depends on the PDO line, doesn't it?
It does.
Where
it
has
does.
the PDO line changed that many times? That would be
That's
Sussex.
a good question. That's a good question. There are not many questions left. Relax.
Two
It's
more.
all good. And yes, most people saying Alsace. They are correct. Daria remains in the lead. Oh, Viola's now into number 2. Excellent. With Lisa in 3, Andre in 4. Oh, Andre's speed is quick. So this, and Freya and Derry close behind there as well. Okay, so last question.
No, 7
Is
or
it?
8.
No, 7 or 8. 2 last questions. The unmistakable box bottle. That one. Oh, hold on, one sec. Let me bring that up on full screen. That bottle. What's it? What does the name translate to? Is it a fat bottom toad, a goat's scrotum? We copied Mateus, or the mother's handbag? I just don't know.
Oh, fat bottom toad is at 69%. No one thought they copied Mateus.
No one thought we just copied Mateus, tragically. Did anyone think we...
Mother's handbag got a little bit. But the answer was
19%. It is a goat's scrotum. Yes, for the sheep farmers among us, that might be a popular answer. But there we go, the goat's scrotum. Viola goes into the lead.
Viola with the right answer.
Fantastic. Well done. 7 out of 7. That's amazing. Okay, last question now. So what have I been drinking this week? Is it water because it is dry January? Is it Gamay?
Because you've done something wrong.
Is it white Zinfandel? Is it Grüne Veltliner? Or is it Schnapps? That is an excellent question. I don't know because I can't remember. I must have been drinking a lot of it. But we'll find out.
Or well-made Negronis.
Well-made Negronis. No, well, yes.
I'm glad this question is what's in. Oh, so we got a bit of white Zinfandel.
No one thinks Schnapps. I did have one Schnapps, to be fair.
So more people thought you did dry January than Schnapps, which is really worrying.
That's you don't know me that well.
Apparently. So let's have this go.
The answer is Grüne Veltliner. I've been in
Austria.
I didn't have any white Zin, and I freaking hate Gamay. So there we go. Daria. Oh,
3 seconds in it.
So close.
So wow. Daria.
Oh my gosh.
Pop us an email.
Brilliant.
Let us know who you'd like to send a tasting to. Absolutely brilliant. That was a lot of
fun.
That's a
lot of fun.
That's close to the end.
Exactly. Plus ça change. Brilliant stuff. Okay, so on that note, do we want to put some prices up?
Yeah. Let's
no, wine's a night.
Oh my God, we've got so much to do.
Okay. So the very last one, wine of the night, we got rosé, Muscadet, Shiraz.
Let's chuck prices up at the same time. It's okay.
Okay. Always fine.
So I think as we said, the rosé was a very easygoing, cheerful, get going with it.
Yep.
I think the Crianza is great value for money.
Oh, I can get rid of Finn and Canada, but that's not relevant now. So okay. No, I can't. Hide. Yes. So pricing's all pretty cool.
Absolutely. So obviously. Order, free shipping, £60 and over. That's not just from them, that's from anything on the website, whatever you like to do.
Yeah. If you need anything, just shout.
And if there's something from previous tastings that, we kind of roll through things, and when they're gone, they're gone. If there's something you've had before that you like and go, I'd like some more of that, give me a shout. I'll find it for you. We're going to pop out an email end of this week with the wine from the advent calendars. So if anyone needs a top up for anything they love, we can get that sorted for you as well. So...
Oh my God.
Oh, look, everyone loves the Shiraz because it's the only thing I can't pack in our boxes to ship out. I'm going to have to buy new boxes. Sorry. We've gone bankrupt on packing boxes for the Shiraz.
But it's swapped around. It's not in the lead anymore.
Oh, that's because
okay. There you go. You jinxed it. Okay.
Save on packing boxes.
Intriguing. Anyway. Right. How are we in terms of number of people who've done? There's one person left to rank. So rank. I had a geography teacher at school who had a slightly soft R. He couldn't really say the letter R, and it came out more like a W. And so he kept on trying to teach us about Spearman's rank, and he would try so hard to say rank, and it never quite worked out. So there you go.
Is this how you're ending?
Geography teachers. That's how I'm ending.
Oh, so I mentioned Imagine sure and it's dropped away.
It has dropped away. So the wine of the night, ever so narrowly, is
It's
the
almost a
Grenache.
tie, isn't
That
it?
is almost a tie.
So the Grenache and the
Grenache,
Rioja were the top
Rioja,
two. Top white was the
Shiraz.
Shiraz.
Yeah, cool. Excellent. So all that remains is say thank you so much for joining us. What a fun evening. We've got lots of fun stuff planned for this year. I'm sorry it's not up on the website yet because we're just finalizing details, but we're getting there. And we've got some cool things. And we've got who's joining us for New Zealand?
No one yet.
No one yet.
No one yet. I was
It's
only
not
there
confirmed.
yesterday.
It's not confirmed, but we've got people coming. So yes. Thank you for joining us. And a very happy new year. I hope you enjoyed being back at school again. And all I can say is that Morgan, report to the principal's office, please. And we will speak to you all, the rest of you, very soon.
Because we've gone back to the archives.
We have gone back to the archives, and apologies for the fact that oh, it's not there. Where is it? There.
You are keeping people up for a long time.
Sorry,
you've really stumbled over this, haven't you? And everyone's going to be.
To captions are wrong as well. So
yeah.
Good night, guys.
Ignore the credits. Enjoy the song.
See you later. Don't know why that's not worked. Sorry, guys. Lovely.